Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Just wait. I believe that.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone.
And I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned, people marched. Let us remember now, as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
This was an amazing MLK breakfast.
It is truly an honor, and more importantly, this is an important day for us.
I feel incredibly lucky and honored to be in this room on this day, celebrating Dr. King's legacy of civil rights, especially in the moment that we're facing on a national level. It feels like warmth and home being in this room.
So I'm encouraged by today. I'm encouraged that we're getting out, we're protesting, but more needs to be done. We need to lean in.
And let's keep fighting, because the job is not done here. And I just feel so honored to get this award. It's not about getting an award, it's about doing the work. And let's keep up with the work.
Around this is so wicked. Now they're going to, they released last night a memo that said that the FBI was investigating Good. They're trying to come up with something on the victim. Not they gonna investigate who shot her. The ICE agent shooting in the head 3 times. They're gonna investigate her. And you wonder why we need movements. You wonder why we need to stand up. Hakeem Jeffries was here Monday. Why we need to deal with this midterm election. Well, Reverend, I get calls on my radio show every day. Well, I don't see where voting changed something. Well, all right, let me tell you where, if they lose the Congress this year, where it changes. The Speaker would be Hakeem Jeffries, who grew up right here in Name, as he said on Monday. The Speaker decides then the calendar for the legislative session. The chairs of the committees become Democrats. So the Judiciary Committee, January 27th. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. And good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM. Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. And for the next 3 hours, you can call and engage in this conversation, and you'll be heard nationwide and even parts of the world. People call us from Germany and England and the Caribbean, so you'll be heard. You are maybe in your life you said, I wish people would hear what I got to say. Well, just call 1-877-532-5797 and we will hear what you have to say. Now, I may not agree with it, but I'll let you express yourself, and you might convince me. Absolutely, that's what we do. That's why we call it keeping it real. A lot to talk about today. President Trump has reshuffled his Minnesota operation after he got such backlash on the second victim rather. He is now sending in the head of Border Patrol, taking out who has been there, and the killing of Alex Pretty. I think that reason that even Trump had to send in Holman, who is no angel, by the way, but he's sending Holman because the Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino was up there saying this man came in armed to do in Department of Homeland Security, DHS workers, and others, which there is none, patently none, that has said that, no evidence of that. Bovino went over the line. Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security, went over the line saying he was a domestic terrorist. And Stephen Miller, the main guy in there, said, Pretty, I'm quoting him now, I'm reading it, quoting it. Pretty was a, quote, gunman and a domestic terrorist. This is what Stephen Miller said. So even Trump had to back down a little. Now he's going to send Holman in, which is not, again, an angel. But I think they're trying to de-escalate as the polls are off the chain against what they're doing. They're also trying to start in Maine. So Trump's trying to turn the page. He's on his way to Iowa to speak. And he'll probably try to come up with a rabbit in his hat to change the discussion. We also see the Democrats so far holding strong, and they demand that an overall in the ICE proliferate after the Minneapolis shooting. They called for an overall, the Democrats, in terms of the whole ICE program. They want to defund it. They want a whole new kind of way to deal with immigration. Or they are going to vote and stop the renewal of the country, of the national debt. They're right at the deadline, and if they do not have 60 votes in the Senate, then they cannot renew. And Democrats have enough to where they can't get to 60 without some Democrats defecting. And let's hope they stand up this time. It would cause a partial shutdown, not a shutdown like before. So I don't see any reason why these senators would not hold fast on this. And I think that we see a group of growing Republican senators, Bill Cassidy, Susan Collins, Mike Crapo, John Curtis, Jerry Moran, even Lisa Murkowski and Tom Tillis are calling for a thorough, transparent investigation. So we'll see. There's also the judge there, federal judge in Minnesota, ordered that Todd Lyons, who is the acting director of U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement, appear in person on Friday to explain why Juan Robles, who was a detainee, wasn't granted a hearing and or released as required under the law. So a lot is happening there. The polls are certainly dipping against them. And I think that it is really unraveling, coming apart. Trump said that he was going to do something about inflation. It's worse. Trump said he was going to take over Greenland, got over there, had to back down. Trump said that he was going to deal with revitalizing the economy. We're in worse debt. And I think a lot of this is he's doing craziness to take the attention off the Epstein files, which has even weakened him with his own base, because that's one of the things they kept pumping to people down through the years, is the Democrats won't let the Epstein files go out because they want to protect some of the big Democrats. Well, Democrats ain't holding it back now. So let's talk about all these issues and more. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go to the message board at nationalactionnetwork.net. Like Demetrius Jones has gone to. Demetrius is writing me, "Good afternoon, Reverend Al. The Trump administration will not release the Epstein files. We will not see them anytime soon." Yeah, I just got finished talking about that. Rodney Jones, mayor of Queensbridge Houses, Queens, New York, said, I sent to Mayor Mandani's office. They responded to my message waiting for what did his office actually do. I don't know what he's referring to. I guess it may be about the weather. I don't know. But there are some issues. I don't see the first part of that. Georgia Daniel says, "Good afternoon, Reverend Al. Lies and deception. The truth is the light and always shows up." Keeping it real in Toledo, Ohio. Glad that you're on from Toledo, Ohio. And I think that it is imperative that we be woke. I ain't talking about woke politically. I'm talking about physically. A lot of us is just daydreaming, just walking around daydreaming, bumping into walls, while these people are taking away the rights and the inherent citizenship of people. We going back to Dred Scott, and let me tell you, it's going to come to us if we don't stop it. We're dealing with immigration reinterpretation. We're dealing with they're in court, waiting on the Supreme Court any day now to rule on voting rights bill, which was centered around race and voting suppression. So if they take that from us, they will run the tables, because they'll change all of the election procedures, and they'll cut up these voting lines where we will not have strong black areas. All they got to do is move the voting lines 30 blocks, 40 blocks, and cut it off, and we're isolated out of any of the districts that we can determine, if enough of us are united, who the congressperson is, who the council person is. So a lot is at stake right here, from voting rights to immigration rights to human rights to our economic well-being. When you have a president that is just rewarding billionaires with all kinds of tax cuts, we must be vigilant. All right, let me get ready to take a break, and we're getting ready to then go to the phones, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. 5797. Don't forget, we about 4 or 5 days away from 20th anniversary of Keeping It Real with Al Sharpton. I've been on 20 years. January 30th, 2011. 20 years. 5 days a week. Then do FMs on Sunday and my TV show Saturday and Sunday night. Somebody asks, when do I sleep? I catch up a little bit every now and then. But I'd rather work and be busy than be bored. Some of y'all live boring lives. Find something to do with yourself. Be useful. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there. And act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're gonna have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm gonna keep marching, I'm gonna keep agitating, and I'm gonna keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time, Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again.
Thank God I was blessed to have both in my life. Both historic, strong figures. But if I misused them and listened to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. What I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are and why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be your blood relatives, but they could not be the ones that accompany you toward what you ought to be about tonight. Everybody good to you ain't good for you. Everybody that makes you laugh sometimes end up making you a joke. Around around this is so wicked. Now they're going to, they released last night a memo that said that the FBI was investigating Good. They're trying to come up with something on the victim. Not they gonna investigate who shot her. The ICE agent shooting in the head 3 times. They're gonna investigate her. And you wonder why we need movements. You wonder why we need to stand up. Hakeem Jeffries was here Monday. Why we need to deal with this midterm election. Well, Reverend, I get calls on my radio show every day. Well, I don't see where voting changed something. Well, all right, let me tell you where, if they lose the Congress this year, where it changes. The Speaker would be Hakeem Jeffries, who grew up right here in Name, as he said on Monday. The Speaker decides then the calendar for the legislative session. The chairs of the committees become Democrats. So the Judiciary Committee, now watch this in the barbershop. The chair of the Judiciary Committee, y'all saw the Judiciary Committee have the hearing and brought in the special counsel yesterday. Well, the chair this time, if the Democrats win, would be a Democrat who could then subpoena the Attorney General Bondi, all of the folks that were involved in January 6th. They can subpoena the vice for all of them because you've got the power of the gavel. Wonder why nobody has asked Pence how he felt running for his life January 6th. Well, if you get the Judiciary Committee, you can subpoena Pence.
This is a defining moment. As our world faces urgent challenges, the movement comes together. National Action Network's 35th anniversary and convention, April 8th through the 11th. Leaders, activists, and community voices united for justice and change. The moment is now. Be in the room.
I wanted to come today on Martin Luther King Day. Because Martin Luther King died in Memphis fighting for wages for garbage workers. And I believe he would want those of us that come in his tradition to be standing with nurses and standing with those that should be getting wages for saving the lives and caring for people that the private hospitals and other hospitals seem not to care about. How can you spend King Day and turn your back on people that are working and not insured right and not given the right wages and not given the right respect when they're taking care of our afflicted, our ill, our infirm? In the name of Martin Luther King, I join the nurses in demanding justice for the nurses. This is not only a labor issue, this is a civil rights issue. This is a human rights issue. It's an issue that black and white, Latino, Asian, all can stand together. Because those that want to make profits out of people's illness, rather than pay for those that care for them, that stand for them, that are there when their families are not there in some cases. So we had to come on King Day. Many of the dignitaries came to the House of Justice, but I left to come and stand here with them to let them know that Martin Luther King Day is a day to stand up for those that are standing in the cold, but they never left the patients in the cold. No justice. No justice. No justice. No justice. No You ready, sir? You're live. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797, or go to our message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Let me say by way of announcements, don't forget, every Saturday and Sunday, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. sharp every Saturday and Sunday, and I'm only going to bring on the best and the brightest and those in positions of authority to challenge them or to get them to specifically break it down to what it means to us on the ground in communities that are sometimes neglected. And I got the ratings this morning. We were off the chain. Many of you watched over the weekend, and I appreciate the support. But we got to keep doing it because we got to keep people on the air by supporting them. And as I always say, you don't have to agree with me on everything, but at least you know I'm discussing you and your situations. So watch it and tell your neighbors, tell your friends that we're on every Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Last several weeks, we've had a big audience to CNN at that time because people are supportive. Also, you that are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, the Saturday Action Rally, meet me there this Saturday. It's the last Saturday before Black History Month. We're moving Black History Month, but this Saturday at the House of Justice, 145th and Lenox, we have our last rally there, and it'll be 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the House of Justice. And then next Saturday and throughout February, we'll be at the historic Mother AME Zion Church on 136 between Lenox and 7th. We'll be doing a Saturday morning rally from there as we prepare for our new location that we're moving to. So meet me, a lot of you that have come down through the years, meet me as we say goodbye to 145th Street and get ready for our new headquarters. But we're going to take a month and a half at Mother AME Zion Historic Church. Frederick Douglass spoke there. Paul Robeson was a member of that church. And Madam C.J. Walker was bred in that church. There's no better place for us to do our Saturday action rally than on the grounds Frederick Douglass and the one and only Paul Robeson and others used to come and worship. Also, the National Action Network National Convention, 35-year anniversary. I'm excited about it more than I can tell you. Between the 20th anniversary of this show next week and the 35th anniversary of NAN, I'm excited beyond words. And we're getting a real lineup, making sure that we get top people. And as always, it's free. Somebody said to me, staff me, well, why don't in recognition of 35-year anniversary, why don't you charge everybody $35 to get in? I said, no. We always have our conventions free, and we ain't going to start now. And we get the top speakers, top in politics, tops in entertainment, top in business, because we certainly advocate that. And, of course, the legal questions and the congressional leaders and legislative questions all be there. I'm dropping the names probably in the next week. But there are already almost 2,000 that have signed up. Sign up. Why sign up, Reverend Al? I'm coming. Sign up because if you have been to one of our conventions, you may get to one of the ballrooms and say, I want to come in, and they say it's full. Are you on the list? And if you're not on the list, we do not make sure you get in, even if we got to take somebody out. So sign now. And be honest. Say, I can't come but one day. I'll come 2 days. I'll come the whole time. Sign up by going to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can go to the toll-free number 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651. All right, let's get started. Let me go to Miss Eunice, my dear friend, the beloved Miss Eunice in Chicago.
Good afternoon, Rev. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, I'm just taking it easy and keeping warm.
Yeah, I know that's right.
Yes, it's something. Rev, you would think that these so-called ICE officials would have gotten their act together by now when they were caught on camera in the first incident, and now they are caught again shoving a man down and killed him who was helping a young lady that they had pushed to the ground. And this is madness and criminality at its worst. What kind of monsters are these? These are ICE men for sure. They have no soul. And can you imagine 47 sending Tom Homan, the drug czar,
right,
to be all when he was caught on camera taking $50,000 in a paper bag, and now this is the guy supposed to straighten everything out. When you look at him, he's frightening enough to scare you to death.
No, you're exactly right. Holman, who is on the way down now to take over, was captured by the feds getting a $50,000 cash payment. He never denied it. Trump came in and the case was dropped. He never denied it. This is the guy that they're sending down to take over Minnesota. And
it's terrible.
And if you remember, Miss Eunice, he was on Fox News with Eric Adams when he was mayor. And Eric Adams said, no, we're working together. Whatever you say to do, he said, you know you're going to do what I tell you to do. I'll be up your A. Said it right on TV.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, just talk down to this man. I mean, if he had said that to me, mayor, no mayor, if I was mayor, no mayor, y'all might be marching on the jail today to see if y'all can get me out. I'd still be in jail.
And I would be right beside you because I would say the same thing. You wouldn't embarrass me like that. He's a nasty, what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And, and they will do anything to keep the Epstein file. And I say to the Democrats, you can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Right.
Keep it going.
Right.
It's ridiculous. And Reverend, something just hurt me. I heard a black man on WVON say that this guy, Alex Preddy, shouldn't have been there anyway. That's what you get. Isn't that ridiculous to say something like that?
Oh my God!
That's right.
I'm glad he helped that woman up. I'm not glad he got killed. But I mean, how insensitive can you be? What do you mean he got? The man had a licensed gun that they didn't even know he had till they threw him to the ground. So what are they talking about? I thought they were the pro-gun people. I thought they were the pro-gun people.
And Reverend, also, when it comes to states' rights, when they want to get something done, they holler states' rights. When they want to take something away, well, they want to be the head of it, as investigating, and they pay no attention to governors and mayors in their state. It is just out of hand now. Something has to give, and the people have got to stay on the case. Thank you so much.
All right, always good to hear your voice. And I'm reading Anita Bracey. Anita Bracey said the New York Times did a second-by-second frame by frame in real time of the execution of Alex Preddy. New York Times did it. She's right. You can go on the site and see it. I saw it. It is graphic and undeniable. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Shopton. Be right back.
No justice. No justice. No justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before.
20-year-old preacher without a church.
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, "The two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born." I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing. And I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone. You reminded us that change doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen, as long as we don't give away our power. I also want to recognize my friends, Martin Luther King III and Andrea Waters King, who continue to be such an important part of this movement. Finally, I want to congratulate another great friend, Eric Holder, on this well-deserved honor. Eric was obviously an outstanding Attorney General, and after the career he's had, he could have easily decided to ride off into the sunset. Sometimes I think that his wife Sharon wishes he had, but that's not who Eric is. Instead, over the last decade,
I am your
he's
host,
built the National Democratic
Reverend Al
Redistricting Committee
Sharpton,
into a
and
leading force.
taking your calls 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go on the message board at nationalactionnetwork.net. And Happiness Donuts is saying on the message board, good thing the statute of limitations don't expire for murder. And what she's referring to, Keith Ellison, the state attorney general in Minnesota, was on my show and said that on Sunday night, and said that the feds should be working with him as they did with George Floyd. And we got 3 police convictions. One of them is still in jail. And he said that, but if the feds won't, when they finish whatever they're doing, it does not stop or preclude the state from bringing the officer up on state charges, because he killed them in their state. So we got a long road to go on this. It should not have happened, though. Happiness Donuts also says, has the woman with the book bag, Alex Prete, has she spoken? I think that you got a good idea. You need to be booking for it. Let me call in the next break and see if we can track her down and see if she will be willing to talk. That's a great idea, because she was there and subject to the whole situation. Let's go to Demetrius in Cleveland, Ohio. WERE, Demetrius.
Hey, thank you, Reverend Sharpton.
Thank you.
For giving me a chance to speak. I just want to comment on briefly just on a few subjects. I'm concerned the investigation of the 2 murders in Minneapolis and some of the many others that are taking place around the country with ICE, and its outrageous behavior. I think the administration is incapable of having a fair investigation. It should be left up to the state. State should be involved in the local authorities as well, because the FBI is obviously compromised as well. It's not going to have a non-biased investigation. So the state have to be included. This administration is completely one-sided. You turn the truth into lies. We have facts with the cameras of what really happened with the deaths in Minneapolis. Yet they try to twist the truth. So I believe it's up to the states, it's up to the local governments. Also, the courts have to stand up, even if it goes up to the Supreme Court. The justice have to enforce, the Constitution of rights for all citizens. And then it comes international law. You know, some of those people who've been oppressed, not American citizens, they still the citizens of the world. And that's when the United Nations, that's when the World Court should get involved and let Donald Trump know he's not just a one-man team. He's not a dictator of the world. Because I look back, even before Trump was elected the first time, it was some people, they was calling for, they wanted a dictator. They want someone to control the government. They can have things their way. They can maintain power. When they sabotage their elections, when they use gerrymandering, they wanted so many more identifications for people to vote. So they always use different criminal moves to try to maintain power.
That's right.
But now they got what they want, and it's out of control. So they really have to attack those people in the beginning who was calling for that. Some of the Congress people, some of the Republicans, who bagging them. Because the only way Trump stopped doing some of the things he's doing, when the Congress get involved, the Republican Congress. He went now in Minneapolis when he was talking to the mayor of Minneapolis, and he want to pull out some of the ICE soldiers there. It's because of the pressure from his own party that he's seeing some of the rich behavior that ICE is doing. If they're going to take those congressmen to stand up, Republican congressmen, not that, they should be removed from office. Because it's just a threat to democracy, a threat to treat people as human beings. And it's just those who want to hold on to power, they're doing whatever they can, what they've been doing, for years. When it comes to the rights to vote, you deny them equal education, you deny them equal employment. When it comes to these layoffs in administration around the country, when it comes to affirmative action programs, they do everything they can to keep people from having equal access to economic mobility. Even if they go to school, if they go, say, for to pull it up, by their bootstrap, they take away their boots. They'll have a fair share, to pull themselves up because of they're not quality in the school system and quality in housing and quality in pay. So it all goes back to the racism. It goes back to those in power want to keep the struggling people or keep the poor or keep the middle class for moving up in society. And last, I want to speak on the situation in Iran with ships going to Iran. I believe, this administration shouldn't get involved with the Iranian situation, because by that's religious regime. If that regime, it was to fall because of outside influences. They don't feel like it's an attack on their religion. It's going to cause problems around the world in this country. That's why Israel don't want the United States to get involved in some of the other Middle Eastern countries. They know that for themselves. They would want to alleviate the problem is just going to spread a worldwide catastrophe. And mainly, I believe, this administration don't care about the Iranian people. They want to put in a regime so they can go in and take advantage of oil fields there, just like they want to do in Venezuela. They want democracy, in Iran. They just want to have a government that's more can to what they want to do with the oil fields in Iran. So they go there and control the oil fields. Because Iran, they removed the Shah in the beginning.
Right.
How they took over. So they don't need to put someone else in there. The Shah's son who have the same mindset as his father. If they're going to change the government, let the people do it individually. And the United States administration shouldn't have these restraints in Iran because the people not have food or not have proper medical care. So with Venezuela, the embargo is called a situation, not the government. The embargo is, what the United States and some of the other countries have done. So they lift some of the embargoes, like when President Obama, he didn't have such a strange situation in Iran. Iranian people was having food, they was having clothing, but when the United States backed out the Iranian treaty, they put on more restraints on Iran and a punishment on Iran. That's when the Iranian people was going through the situation they're going through now. and with this administration saying they're going to bag him up for doing things, if the Iranian government be brutal with him, he causing thousands of people to die, because this the Iranian administration might not even change. You have these people losing their lives because of what Donald Trump is saying what he's going to do for them. It might not even come through this. So you see what I'm saying? That if these people losing their lives, because that might never happen. If it does happen, still might not be no peace, because this country just going to plan to take advantage of their resources. And thank you very, very much, Red Shots, for letting me speak. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your call. 1-877-532-5797. Let's get Brother Jacob in. Jacob from Philadelphia.
Peace be unto you, Reverend Sharpton, and your worldwide listeners. Peace be unto you all.
Thank you.
You know, Reverend, now, you mentioned Black History Month is near, right? Coming in next month. But today is Holocaust Remembrance Day, right?
Okay.
And, so years ago, I worked at my sister's charter school here in Philadelphia. She was a member of NAN on the education part of that. When Paula Peoples were your president here from NAN, God rest her soul.
Great
she
woman.
was a fired up sister here.
Great woman.
Yes, yes. But years ago, I did some research, because from that, every year she used to bring in a Holocaust survivor. I actually have sat and talked with survivors of them camps that actually had the number on their arm. They showed me the number, told us the story of what they had to do to survive them camps, and God blessed them to survive. But in my research, Reverend Al, I was doing a study on the research of what happened to 6 million human beings by other human beings, right? And in my study, I found out that it was black troops that liberated the death camps of Nazi Germany. And I found letters that was written even in the New York Times and other papers that had printed letters that these black soldiers had written after they saw that what they saw, they cried. And they wrote, we are spiritual people, Reverend Al.
Right.
And for us to see other human beings starved to skin and bones, then gassed and put in the furnaces. My question is, Reverend Al, who does this? And the other question is, will America go for stuff like that we see happening, starting in this country? Man's inhumanity to man. And I leave with this. Brother Rick from Germany always says, I'm done, brother, man. Thank you, Reverend Al.
And he does say that, and you are right about the time we need to take another break. And let me open up the phones on the other side of the break so I can hear from you. Keeping it real. Shopton. Be right back.
London, yeah. We've got many problems there. We need you over our side. Yeah, you're invited anytime, please. Whenever you want to come.
There we go.
Dice. What's up, Doc?
So we are in not a political dilemma, we are in a moral dilemma. And if the black church does not come with a prophetic voice, then who's going to do it? We can go through all the data, all the statistics, all we're going through in the workshops, but the question is, where is the action going to be? We all believe in Jesus. Jesus didn't teach theology, he healed people. And they learned the nature of the theology based on his healing. We got to heal this nation. And if we heal this nation, the nation will return to our churches. But we've become silent and compromised. And we try to blame it on, I'm not in this. You are in this. You live it, your members live it. Unemployment now is higher now than it's been since the pandemic. Yet we survive. Yes, sir. There's no history in the world of any people that went through the kind of psychological, cultural, and physical slavery like blacks did in America. The only reason we're still here is because of our faith. We had no external strength. We had an internal strength. And it was the God that we were taught by our mamas and grandmamas that brought us through. And I don't care who's sitting in the White House, we cannot betray the God that brought us through. Keep the dream alive on Wall Street. As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned, people marched. Mrs. Coretta Scott King, who never has gotten the credit she deserves in being the force behind this movement. Congressman John Conyers, Stevie Wonder, and others. And Ronald Reagan, who had called Martin Luther King a communist, ended up being the president that had to sign the bill for Martin Luther King's federal holiday. The reason why we know struggle works is this holiday is a result of struggle, signed by a president that never thought it would be. Let us remember now, as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. But we gather this morning because everything Dr. King stood for is at risk. As we speak, we're waiting to see what the Supreme Court will do with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, one of the major achievements of the King movement. As we speak this morning, this sitting president has declared war on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is the core of the Civil Rights Act of '64. We are under attack, and we should not be taking this as a day off. This is a day on
to fight to keep what was maintained. To see, I remember 6 years ago, Martin III and I were in Minneapolis leading the marches around George Floyd. I did the eulogy at his funeral. 6 years later, we see a white female, unarmed, killed in Minneapolis. We see people being racially profiled. We see that there are those that would want this to be the last federal holiday named after King. Don't you be deceived. This sitting president and his cohorts would want to end Martin Luther King Day. But just like we will not let them end this day, we will not let them end voting rights and Civil Rights Act and DEI. It's not enough to remember and honor the dreamer and let them kill the dream. And that's why National Action Network has every year started in Washington, D.C. with this breakfast, and then we go to New York with our public policy forum. And every year we try to set an agenda and go into April. We always have our national convention in April, which is the month Dr. King was killed, to say that they killed the dreamer, not the dream. And those of us that come out of that movement is going to continue to fight. This April will be our National Action Network is 35 years old in this April at our convention. One of the things, though, we've been most proud of is to try to keep the assignment that we were given. As I said, Mrs. Coretta Scott King never got the credit she was due. She's the matriarch of this movement. You must know that Dr. King was in Boston, had graduated Morehouse College, 19 years old, went to Boston University, an Ivy League school at a time many blacks couldn't get in them. Met a young lady who was in conservatories, going to be an opera singer from Marion, Alabama, Coretta Scott King. They decided to go back south. A lot of blacks that went north and had their upper movement never wanted to go back south. But for whatever reason, Dr. King wanted to go back south. And Mrs. King stood right with him and went to Alabama and ran into history. It is always those that accept the calling that change history. And we should never forget the sacrifice made of Dr. Martin and Mrs. Coretta Scott King, because they did not have to go and lead a boycott. They were Boston University Conservatory graduates. They chose to fight. And when it fell their lot, they kept fighting. And even after Dr. King was assassinated, she kept the movement going. Martin III bonded me and his mother, and she used to reprimand me. Al, you got to be careful with your language. Al, I know you up north, but do this, that, and other. She got on me about being not only in the tradition in your actions, because we always was there, but even in your rhetoric. And it was because of that that it meant so much. For the last 30 years, Martin and I have walked step by step together because we had that bond, and I felt that Mrs. King gave us that. He has kept this dream alive all over the world. Real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back talking about what's going on in Minnesota, talking about what's going on around Maine, and let us not forget, we still have not heard, and it could come any day now, the Supreme Court decision on voter protection, whether they're taking out Section 2. We still have not heard on how they're going to negotiate reinstating the Affordable Care Act. So while understandably a lot of the media oxygen has been taken out of the room around what's going on in Minnesota, what I believe is the execution of this young man, and following the execution of Renee Good, we still cannot keep our eye off of all of these things because they will, in the darkness, the media darkness, keep getting away with ACA being expired December 31st, keep getting away with the Voting Rights Act. We have got to be able to pay attention. That's why we need to be on every day, and I have, and I'm going to keep going on. Let's talk about all those issues. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, and also you can go on our live stream to the message board. Kenneth Rush on the message board is saying Trump sending a large fleet of ships to Iran is to bomb the people of Iran. You know, I'm glad you brought it up, Kenneth. The purpose of sending those fleets are there for what? We've seen what he did with Maduro in Venezuela. Are we now about to see that we're going to go into an Iranian situation? Second part of Kenneth's statement has just been informed that the Trump administration is at present arresting Iranian citizens. See, if he can take us from the foolishness, deadly foolishness of Minnesota in Iran, he will not have to deal with the Epstein files. He will not have to deal with health care expiring. He will not have to deal with the Voting Rights Act. It's a matter of playing the game of distraction. You know, I'm from New York, as is Trump. And down Times Square, where all the Broadway plays are and all the movies and all, Times Square, and this office is right in Times Square area. They have con men on the corner, used to when I was growing up. Every once in a while you see them now, where they set up a table and play three-card Monte, where you got to guess, they'll put a $20 bill under one card. You got to guess which one it is. And it's a matter of playing with your eyes. Is your hands quicker than your eyes? And that's what he's playing, three-card Monte. Trump is on the American public. Just keep it moving. Minnesota, Machado in Venezuela, Iran. I'm going to Davos and cuss out the people in Europe, just anything. So you won't pull up the card that says Epstein, card that says ACA, card that says voting rights. We cannot go for it. We can do all of it. Let's go to Still Bill in Cincinnati, Ohio. The Buzz. Still Bill.
This is the day the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. Good afternoon, Reverend.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to send a shout as well as an apology to Lincoln Ware, 12:30 a.m. The Buzz radio station, for my actions yesterday. I also like to wish a happy belated birthday to both James Alexander and Larry Dodson of the Barcades, my favorite funk band. Reverend, you are right about the foolishness that goes on in Minnesota. I watch pretty much the TV. I saw Politics Nation last week. And as always, you are on top of things. And I always like to remind you that God is my president. God is my witness. God is my jury. And it's just a matter of time before, he settles this situation for what it is. Reverend, I know you got a lot of callers, so I'm going to cut it short. I praise you for your stellar work. And to your daughter, Dominique, I'm still Bill. I will keep it real.
would,
Keep it real.
I will tell
right.
Dominique you keeping it real. And let me tell you something. I am a firm believer in what you say that God will take care of it. But he takes care of it through us.
Yes,
and
sir.
and
He
I
does.
think that it is important that we understand God works through us. God is not going to come down here and do what we should be doing ourselves. I think that is absolutely right. Thank you, Still Bill. Let me go to my friend Mrs. Richardson in Chevy Chase, Maryland. Miss Richardson, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Yes, well, let's keep it real. Yes, how are you today?
I'm doing very well.
That's great. I want to touch on a couple of things, and I'll let other people on. You know, the two sides of Democrat and Republican, you know, they all have their own say, you know. And as an old woman now, I just see so much hypocrisy from both sides. This is speaking from an old person, so I hope you don't be too, harsh with me about it, because it's sad because we hear so many different, answers coming from Democrats and Republicans, and they go at each other like little children that's not grown up, and they act so infantile at times. All you have to do is listen to C-SPAN. You go to your television, look at C-SPAN, how they act, or the radio. Is the stress factor in this country. That's why I think so many black people are dying, because too many blacks are distracted by things that it's not their fault. We have nothing to do with how white people are killing white people. Even though I feel bad about the two people, Red. Now, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying blacks have been hung and everything else, butchered, stabbed to death. All of these blacks, Garner, the lady in the jail that was beaten, all the way back years ago to Fannie Lou Hamer being beaten like a man. They punched her with their fists, Reverend. Say women have been violated. And you don't hear much about women being violated in the media. You turn on these shows, and women are being killed. White women, black women, green women, it doesn't matter. They're being killed. And very little is said about it, only on these crime shows that say forensic. All these things are things that actually happen to women. So I'm going to cut it short, but rather another thing, independent people are growing. Independent. My family's independent. We don't rely on Republican or Democrat. And that's grown. Independent folk in this country, sir, has grown, not diminished. And even when Trump was elected, they say he had read almost 80 million people voted for him. That's what they're saying. That's what they're giving us. And so with that number of people, I don't know how many have diminished from him, but they keep having these polls that saying 59% or for whatever it is that still supports him. That's still a large number. And what I'm saying is, we have to look at the truth.
I've not seen one poll that has him over 44%. I don't know what poll you see.
Oh, 44%.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But anyway, I know you have other callers, dear, and I love you. And
All
I'll
right,
play
love
later.
you. Thank you for your call. 1-877-532-5797, Shopton. Keeping it real. Be right back. Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is.
and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God, and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on.
Good morning, everybody. Governor Westmore. And as a former honoree of the National Action Network's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Breakfast, I want to begin by recognizing the leadership of this great organization. My guy, Reverend Sharpton, you're one of a kind. You've dedicated your life to safeguarding and advancing Dr. King's legacy, and I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine. I also want to thank Ebony Riley and her team, and Andrea Waters King and the entire King family. Your work continues to shape national conversations about equity and justice, and you inspire so many to pursue their own path in public service. And finally, I am thrilled to congratulate today's Visionary Award recipient, my guy, Mayor Brandon Scott. Mr. Mayor, you deserve this honor. Your leadership is turning your vision for Baltimore into a Baltimore where we can all thrive, helping to drive down historic lows in crime. A Baltimore that has one of the fastest growing economies in the country. You've been an incredible partner in this work, my man. A strong leader for the city, and most importantly, a devoted friend and father. So congratulations, Brandon. And thank you to everyone here who is working to strengthen our communities, to broaden opportunities, and most importantly, to serve the people.
King, Dr. Richardson, most of all, let me thank Reverend Al Sharpton for bringing us all here together today in the Urban Action Network. I am proud to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America, but I am mindful that I wouldn't be here if it had not been for Reverend Al Sharpton running for president, and Carol Moseley Brown running for president, and Jesse Jackson running for president, and Shirley Chisholm running for president. They paved the way, and I stand on their shoulders.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
I celebrate the day you were born. You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
For over 3 decades, the National Action Network has stood on the front lines for our communities, fighting for justice, lifting up the voiceless, and showing up where it matters most. Presidents, world leaders, and global changemakers have all testified to Reverend Al Sharpton's impact and National Action Network legacy of good trouble in the fight for equality. This holiday season, our commitment grows even stronger. We're expanding food distributions, toy drives, and direct support for families who need us now more than ever. Stop right now and join the movement.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Just break. I believe that.
Good morning. morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone.
And I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned, people marched. Let us remember now, as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
This was an amazing MLK breakfast.
It is truly an honor, and more importantly, this is an important day for us.
I feel incredibly lucky and honored to be in this room on this day, celebrating Dr. King's legacy of civil rights, especially in the moment that we're facing on a national level. It feels like warmth and home being in this room.
So I'm encouraged by today. I'm encouraged that we're getting out, we're protesting, but more needs to be done. We need to lean in.
And let's keep fighting, because the job is not done here. And I just feel so honored to get this award. It's not about getting an award, it's about doing the work. And let's keep up with the work.
Hi, it's Reverend Al Sharpton, President and founder of National Action Network. We are at the very end of 2025, and I want to first say that I want to thank all of the officers, chapter leaders, regional directors, national staff, and certainly National Board of National Action Network for a solid and absolutely incredible year in 2025. Despite the fact that we are under assault, voting rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion, the battles globally where we're seeing Nigeria and Venezuela attacked, and on and on and on. We have been steadfast as an activist organization in the tradition of Dr. King. We started the year with a national call that thousands responded to, and we were in Washington on our side of town while Trump was being inaugurated on the other side of town. And we made a pledge. We told people to lift their hand and make the pledge. And we kept that pledge to work all year to keep the dream alive. And that led into when Trump went after DEI, we supported some that were boycotting, and we started boycotting, something that had never happened. We said we're going to go buy from those that have committed to keep DEI, and went in several cities around Costco's and shopping. We've now bought stock in other companies. We're going to shareholder meeting and demand they continued DEI. We've had a sensational National Action Network convention covering the span of activity. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And of course, you can go on live stream to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Let's go to Janet in Baltimore, Maryland. Janet.
Hey, Reverend Al, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, not bad. I wanted to ask about, well, quickly, the other day when people were saying, when some of the Trump people were saying, why did he bring a gun to the protest? He had a concealed weapon. But then I wish one of them reporters would have asked him, well, why do all them ICE people have a long gun, a short gun, a pepper spray? a bazooka, or this. They got so much stuff on them, it don't make no sense. Why are they doing that?
Yeah,
My
that would
question
be a
is,
good
my question
question.
is, okay. My question is about all of these detention centers they're trying to put up. And you saw that out there in Texas, where I guess they got a whole bunch of them. Some of those young kids were protesting, "Let me out, let me out," and they was like 5 years old and stuff like that. Sometimes it seemed like they said it was families, then it was just children by themselves. Why are they trying to put all these things? Because they're trying to put one in Maryland. If he's deporting people, then deport them. What is all these holding cells for? Holding centers for?
They intend to fill them up. You are right to bring it up. They're building all these prisons, and they're trying to railroad a lot of people in them disproportionately from our community. There's no doubt about it.
But they're not giving them due process. So if they're not giving them due process, once they catch them, why don't they send them home? I don't understand. Some of these people are in there for months. For what?
That's a very good question, and you would have to really dig deep in to the whole strategy behind this, and I don't understand it. It makes no sense, and it is not only unfair, it's inhuman. But let's go to Stanford in Ohio.
Yes, sir. Reverend Al, thank you for being consistent. Um, I wish other people would be as consistent as you in doing the right thing. I'm here in Cincinnati. I think I talked to you a while ago about here in Cincinnati that corruption here in Cincinnati. Um, I know I talked to you about we had 3 city council members sitting taking money from the contractors, and then the building department was going into the poor neighborhood. I was a Cincinnati firefighter, lieutenant. I served 28 years as a fire, and I was a fire lieutenant, and been retired since 2009. And then when I seen what the building department and the city was doing to black homeowners and taking their property illegally, it disturbed me. But one of the things I think I talked to you about, we had a gentleman named PG Pastor and Bernard sitting on city council making $68,000 part-time job with benefits, and they was scamming contractors, but they were targeting mostly black contractor. A football player that used to play for the Cincinnati Bengals, he's a contractor. They would tell him any kind of project he come up with that he would have to give them some money, $15,000-$20,000, or some cigars, a trip to Miami, some women, and then he can get that project. And all 3 was on city council at the same time, making $68,000. Wish I could have a part-time job like that. And the one named PG, he said Mayor Cranley was taking money too, but they didn't bother him. The other 3 went into jail for a small amount of time, which that was one scheme on the contractor, but I haven't seen any white contractors says they were doing that to them. I got plenty black contractors that they was doing schemes and taking money from them. So being a firefighter, about a year and a half ago, I went to city council, and there's a guy named Scotty Johnson. He was a cop for 30 years. He's sitting on city council. And I told Scotty, I said, how do you let the building department and the law department, the city council, take black people property from them illegal? And he said, well, they're not doing that. I said, well, bring in the head of building department white people tell you what kind of crime they do, like Trump doing. He tell you what he's going to do. So he did. He brought Art Dahlberg and the law department represent him. So in city council chamber, the law department sat there and Scotty said, what are you doing to the black neighborhood? They said, well, we go to the poor neighborhood, which that's where black people got their property when they red line and that. We go to the black poor neighborhood, which is the black neighborhood. We write them up. They didn't say it had to be just get them in the game. And then we write them up, and then we tell them to give us the title to their property. Now, and if they give us the title to the property, we leave them alone. So right there is extortion, racketeering, and RICO criminal. Then Scotty said, he got a law degree. He said, if we doing that, somebody need to go to jail, which he's right. So next to him was the vice mayor. She got a law degree. She said, well, Scotty, you can't say that. So we got had to file a lawsuit because they taking black people's property. They admitted in city council under camera on film that this was they were doing. So the mayor and city council haven't did anything. They want it to go away, same as Trump wants his trouble go away. But we need some help to stop this. So many black people want a piece of property, their wall tore up, and they redlined the area, put the money into High Park, upscale neighborhood, Mount Adams, and downtown. So they targeting the black neighborhood to take property, saying it's a nuisance or a blight, just like they did in Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Rosewood, and those areas when they took black people's property, but they used a white woman every time. They would say,
now, you're not denying they took our property.
right. No, they took our property using
Right.
a white woman. But here in Cincinnati, they using blight and a nuisance. Well, I was a fireman for 28 years. I looked a lot, no fire runs to the property, no police run, none of that. So the only nuisance that a black person got property and a white person wanted, they used a group of white thieves and giving it to them. I think they got one black contractor and the rest of white.
Got to take my break. Wow, interesting. Thank you for your call. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. 1-877-532-5797. Shopton. Keeping it real. Be right back.
In London, yeah. We've got many problems there. We need you over our side. Yeah, you're invited anytime, please. Whenever you want to come.
There we go.
Guys! What's up, Doc?
So we are in not a political dilemma, we are in a moral dilemma. And if the black church does not come with a prophetic voice, then who's going to do it? We can go through all the data, all the statistics, all we're going through in the workshops, but the question is, where is the action going to be? We all believe in Jesus. Jesus didn't teach theology, he healed people. And they learned the nature of the theology based on his healing. We've got to heal this nation. And if we heal this nation, the nation will return to our churches. But we've become silent and compromised. And we try to blame it on, I'm not in this. You are in this. You live it, your members live it. Unemployment now is higher now than it's been since the pandemic. Yet we survive.
Yes, sir.
There's no history in the world of any people that went through the kind of psychological, cultural, and physical slavery like blacks did in America. The only reason we're still here is because of our faith. We had no external strength. We had an internal strength. And it was the God that we were taught by our mamas and grandmamas that brought us through. And I don't care who's sitting in the White House, we cannot betray the God that brought us through.
And I think that is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes blacks. We want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight with the courts and the streets, because they're literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, which they did, started in Harvard with a black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, that ACP people defense fund together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation, then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in this.
We have a short visit, so we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses.
Sir, it's been 13 years. That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good.
Right, last time. And we, Alexander Shaw. How many slaves were staying
I have no idea. This is where they would have the slave. Yeah, that's when, exactly. That was, exactly. Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Or you can go on the message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and go on the message board and send me a message. Let's go to Lola in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. WURD. Lola.
Yes, Reverend Al, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. So I wanted to talk about, I know all the stuff that has happened in Minnesota and the murder of Alex Pretty. But I wanted to know if everybody remembers, and I don't know if everybody was talking about it lately, Philando Castile, who was shot, and he was a licensed gun owner, the black teacher who was shot by a police officer in his car, and his girlfriend taped it, she live streamed it, and his stepdaughter, her daughter, was sitting in the back, and the cop just kept shooting him. When he told him he had he was a licensed gun owner, he asked him, well, let me see the gun or let me see the license. He went to get it after he instructed him to, and he shot him and killed him. I wonder if you remember that.
Not only do I remember it, his mother I worked with, and his mother was at the funeral we had in Bedford right after George Floyd's trial. They killed another young man, police did, in I think it's Bedford. It's outside of Minneapolis. And the mother came to the funeral, and she remained active in fighting against police brutality. So I definitely remember it.
Well, I should have known he was on the front line.
Dante Wright was the the young man they killed in the other side of Minnesota. Yeah.
Yes, and so and then you have the George Floyd. So Minnesota, unfortunately, they say it's Minnesota nice, but the police, all of it is not nice, and we see this. This shift with the NRA, with Philando Castile, it was radio silence. But now with Alex Pretty, we're hearing a statement from NRA saying we got to look at this. You know, this is not how the gun laws are supposed to be and all that stuff. And so my thing is at some point, all of us have to think, and I'm calling on white America, like you have to be involved when stuff happens to us as well. Because we heard radio silence from mostly, the only people who were really up in arms about that, Philando Castile, were mostly black people. We didn't hear from our white allies and stuff of that nature. And so this is what for me today, this is just my opinion, that a lot of black people we're tired, we're tapped out. And not that we should be. I'm not saying that we should be, Reverend Al. I mean, everybody's trying to get it together and doing what they can do. But, you know, we have this one thing with Philando Castile, and then we have this other thing with Alex Pretty, who was both, murdered. And everybody wants black people to be out in the streets. And black people are really like, okay, so if they killing white people, what you think they're going to do to us? And so that's why, like ICE, all of this stuff that is happening happens under the microscope of people being silent when it happens to another race. You when like Martin Luther King said, when there's injustice somewhere, there's an injustice everywhere. So we have to lift our voices up and scream and get out here and demand justice when it happens to anybody. Because when you don't think it's going to happen to you, that's when it is going to happen to you. When you're not on the side that Trump wants you to be on, or this administration, then they're going to come after you. And I also wanted to say this, Reverend Al, I rarely disagree with you. And I just think you're amazing and everything that you've done. But I feel like some of the Democrats, and I know that you have to stand up for them and stuff like that, but they're not the Democrats of your time. I'm from a different generation than you are. And there are a lot of people out there sticking their neck out. Vic Mensa, who was a former boxer, a lot of activists and stuff are out in Minnesota. We have 7 Democrats who have turned on us, voted for additional funding for ICE. We don't see any of the Democrats who should be out there on the front lines. I mean, the people who always talk, AOC, Bernie Sanders, on and on. But we hear this general stuff from the leaders of the Democratic Party when they should be on the ground in Minnesota.
All right, wait. First of all, when we went in Minneapolis at the request of George Floyd's family and started rallying and been there several times since, some whites were with us. A lot of blacks were with us. But most blacks in Minneapolis didn't do anything. So let's not act like all black people out there. That's not true. I led those marches. That's not true. We've never had all blacks do anything. It's always been a minority of us that fought. Second of all, I don't know what you mean, my generation is different than your generation. In my generation, we had to fight to get black officials to fight. Otherwise, you would have never heard of me. I was leading fights on police brutality and on racial exclusion in terms of voting because a lot of black officials weren't there. So I don't know where you get your facts from, Lola, but that's not true. The generation ahead. No. Wait. I didn't interrupt you. You made some statements. I'm going to answer them. Like you said, we ain't got to agree, but we can respect each other. Your facts are wrong. If there had been black politicians stood up in the 60s, Dr. King wouldn't have had to do it. And other Democrats. When we marched, it was against Democrats. John Kennedy was president when they had the March on Washington. I wasn't there. I was a kid. But Lyndon Johnson's who they marched on. I marched on Bill Clinton about the omnibus crime bill. So I don't know what you're talking about there. But I will say this. We have seen some of the grassroots activists in Minneapolis. Attorney Armstrong was arrested in the church and others who we've been in touch with. Pretty, the young man that was killed, was one of the whites that did march in Minneapolis for George Floyd. I don't know about Dante Wright, but they say he was in the marches for that. But don't give credit to all the blacks in Minneapolis. All the blacks in Minneapolis did not stand up for George Floyd or Dante Wright. Many did, many didn't. Is she there? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, yes. Well, thank you for that correction, because I wasn't talking about all the Democrats. I mean, not all the Democrats, all the whites in Minneapolis. I was just talking about around the country, and I'm talking about when it shows up for voting, because even when they say that they are allies, then they turn around and vote for Trump.
Right.
So that's what I'm talking about. But then you know what? You are right, and I want to say this, because I am much younger than you. You are right to say that, because I was saying your generation of people stood up more than what's happening now. But when you just said what you said, that no, all of them didn't stand up. Okay, I stand corrected on that, because what I'm seeing now is that's why a lot of people are like so frustrated and so upset, because like everything is happening in our eyes in front of us, and nobody is like, we can't even do anything. And I understand that the Republicans have the House, the Supreme Court, and they have the Senate, and then we have to wait until the midterms in May. And I think that as we see all of this stuff happening, all of us have to get out here. We all really have to get out here and united as one, because when we see that when it happens to one of us as a black person, it's going to happen to the next race who doesn't fall in alignment with a regime that is running like Trump. And I mean, this man, and then I just feel like another thing, Reverend Al, thank you for letting me talk, that we have to really take our money back. We see Tim Cook out here who runs Apple. He's out here at a ball, a fundraiser. You got Sylvester Stallone, you got Kelsey Grammer, all of these stars and all of these people who have gotten their money and in the black atmosphere and all this stuff. And now all of them talking about Trump is this and Trump is that. He's such a great president. And then all of the corporations and stuff that are donating to him. We really have to pull our money back and show these people, because nothing is going to stop them unless we show them what the real thing is, and that's green, that's money, because that's the only thing they really care about is money.
I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that, Lola. You're right. Thank you for your call. Let me go to Rufus in Savannah, Georgia. Rufus, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
All right. Good afternoon, y'all. Yeah, Reverend, I talked to you, I think about 7-8 months ago, me and you was talking about, I was telling you about how you got to start, and y'all were talking about it just now, you got to start hitting them people in their pocket. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going to have to start happening. Now, I hear on the news a few minutes ago that finally a family down in Trinidad done bought a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against Trump down. So that's what's got to be start doing.
That a family did what now?
They done bought a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against the United States down there for killing their family members. You know what I'm saying? They don't. Yeah, and that's what's got to start happening. All them people in Minnesota now, all them canisters of gas, was a young child, 6 years old, had to be revived. A black family, a 6-year-old child, a 6-month-old baby had to be revived, almost died. It need to be some lawsuits. Them people got $50 billion. They got plenty of money. The ICE got $50 billion. They got plenty of money. It need to be 10,000 lawsuits right now, just for Minnesota alone. All them civil suits need to be in them courts right now. Every time they throw a canister at you and bust your window, it need to be a lawsuit.
Yeah, I agree with
Every
that.
time.
I agree with that.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that.
And they got plenty of money. They got $50 billion.
I agree with that.
That's the way to defund them. That's the way to defund them now. And you got to start hitting them and when you start hitting them in that pocket, and you start drinking, and them juries going to award you. Them juries, because you're sick of them. The juries going to award you.
Let's take a break. Thank you for your call. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Keeping it real. You can set him up. In the head 3 times. They're going to investigate her. And you wonder why we need movements. You wonder why we need to stand up. Hakeem Jeffries was here Monday. Why we need to deal with this midterm election. Well, Reverend, I get calls on my radio show every day. Well, I don't see where voting changed them. Well, all right. Let me tell you where, if they lose the Congress this year, where it changes. The speaker would be Hakeem Jeffries, who grew up right here in Name, as he said on Monday. The speaker decides then the calendar for the legislative session. The chairs of the committees become Democrats. So the Judiciary Committee, now watch this in the barbershop. The chair of the Judiciary Committee, y'all saw the Judiciary Committee have the hearing and brought in the special counsel yesterday. Well, the chair this time, if the Democrats win, would be a Democrat who could then subpoena the Attorney General Bondi, all of the folks that were involved in January 6th. They can subpoena the vice president, all of them, because you've got the power of the gavel. Wonder why nobody has asked Pence how he felt running for his life January 6th. Well, if you get the Judiciary Committee, you can subpoena Pence.
This is a defining moment. As our world faces urgent challenges, the movement comes together. National Action Network's 35th anniversary and convention, April 8th through the 11th. Leaders, activists, and community voices united for justice and change. The moment is now. Be in the
Reverend Sharpton, how do we begin to make peace with our past?
I don't think it's our obligation to make peace with our past. I think it's our obligation to learn from our past and to understand that soon we gonna be the past. I mean, a lot of us act like we gonna be permanent and that the past is the past. If we draw on the strengths of the past and uphold the dignity and the integrity of our people and then perform it at our highest level in our generation, as Dr. Moss said, that's our obligation. You know, one of the reasons that I've been so concerned about this cultural tone that we're in now is a lot of us have lost the dignity that our community has shown from Jamestown to now. I've questioned some of the artists that no longer sing to uplift us. And there's never been a generation that didn't use our music and our culture to lift us up. And the excuse is where they say, well, we just want to show what's there. But we never just accepted what was there. We always looked at what was there and looked through it and brought our people the way it needed to be. So in slavery time, we were singing Go Down Moses and Swing Low Sweet Chariot. We wasn't singing about the cotton picking nigga in the field. That's what we saw, but that's not what we sang. In slavery, in segregation time, we were singing We Shall Overcome. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. We wasn't singing the hoe in the back of the bus. So where is this coming from? And that's what we need to challenge. I wish, all of this about our friend Barack announced it today. I wish Obama had announced here, because Lincoln did not free us. The abolitionist movement freed us. Lincoln accommodated to freedom fighters. He was not a freedom fighter. Kennedy accommodated the king. Johnson accommodated the king. We got to quit giving the wrong people credit for our history.
Rev, you know, you were right there
from the beginning
with the stuff that
Yep.
was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene with yourself, Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now, let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the head on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut, so we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK. No justice. No justice. No justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom, let my people go. We gonna shine up and shade. Give me a papa glory, make the heavens. If you don't say you know I'm trouble, let my people go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know I'm trouble, let my people go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water.
I thank God I was blessed to have both in my life. Both historic, strong figures. But if I misused them and listened to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. And what I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are, why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant and unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be your blood relatives, but they could not be the ones that accompany you toward.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host,
Everybody good.
Reverend Al
to me,
Sharpton,
good
and
for
we're
you.
back. 1-877-532-5797. Don't forget, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now. And I'm already booking people for the show dealing with the issues at hand. Clearly, there's not enough attention given to the expiration of the Affordable Care Act and whether that is going to be restored in this new reconciliation bill. Clearly, in my opinion, they need to end ICE. Clearly, we're going to deal with the Voting Rights Act and the redistricting. They're trying to redistrict in Maryland. I'm going to have on some of the leadership there. Some of the ministers took a strong stand there with Governor Wes Moore. A lot going to be on Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. Make sure you catch both nights at MS Now, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, you in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally. At the Saturday Action Rally, last time at 145th Street, getting ready to move to our new headquarters in a matter of weeks, but this Saturday will be the last Saturday at 145th and Lenox, and then we're going for Black History Month We will be at the historic Mother AME Zion Church in Harlem on 136th Street, 9 a.m. to 11. So you can watch it this week and be there this week, 9 to 11, on Impact Television, on YouTube, and on nationalactionnetwork.net. And then we'll be on the following Saturday for the Saturdays of Black History Month at the historic Mother AME Zion Church where Paul Robeson was well, I'm going to have Reverend Bird on tell you the history of the church. Let me say before I do that, though, don't forget the NAN convention. People are signing up. We are about at or close to 2,000 already signed. I haven't even announced the roster of people that is going to be speaking, but I believe me, you're going to want to be there. It is all free. But you need to register. If you're going to be there half a day, a whole day, whatever it is, go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can call the toll-free number 1-877-626-4651. Let me bring to the mic our COO, who is also the pastor of Mother AME Zion in Harlem, where we are moving after this Saturday. It's our last Saturday in the House of Justice. Then we're going to Mother AME Zion for the next 4 Saturdays, and then into our new headquarters. The Reverend Dr. Let me ask you this, Reverend Dr. Malcolm Bird. Reverend Bird, give us a history of Mother AME Zion and why it's so appropriate for National Action Network to go there as our holding spot before we go to the new House of Justice.
It's my pleasure, Reverend. It's always an honor to be on your program. When you talk about the history of Mother AME Zion, you're talking about a historically black institution that traces its origins back to 2 years before the founding of this country. There's a lot of conversation this year about the 250th anniversary of America, but Mother AME Zion Church, a historic black church in New York, traces its origins back to 1774, when black members of John Street Methodist Church began to have their own private, separate meetings independent of white supervision. And this was very dangerous because during the time, those code laws were still in place that no more than 3 black people could gather without white supervision. But they defied it. The mere fact that you had a black church in the 1770s, 1790s in New York City was an act of defiance. So them gathering independent of white supervision was a great act of defiance. Mother Zion was able to organize 1796, incorporated in 1801. We're the oldest black institution in New York State. The nation's first black media publication, Freedom's Journal, was published at Mother Zion in 1828. Frederick Douglass married Anna Murray at Mother Zion in September 1838. Sojourner Truth changed her name from Isabella Baumfree to Sojourner Truth in 1841. The church was a prominent stop on the Underground Railroad. You name it, we were very much a part of it. The nation's first Emancipation Day celebration was held January 1st, 1863 at Mother AME Zion. And Reverend, in the state of New York, a lot of people tend to forget that, you say it a lot, that the biggest slave port in the country was New York City. New York State did not abolish slavery until July 4th, 1827. And Mother Zion's members and leaders led the fight for nearly 50 years through lobbying efforts to bring slavery to an end in New York State, ultimately in 1827. And the founder of the church, James Varick, died 2 weeks later, believing that his work was fully done. So when you talk about Mother Zion, you have to talk about Paul Robeson and his membership in the church, Madam C.J. Walker and her membership in the church, New York's first black police officer, Samuel Battle, and his membership in the church. So when you talk about Mother Zion, you're talking about one of the greatest institutions in American history. One black church probably has more history than some countries of the world.
Now, tell us, tell our radio audience, and I'm going back to the phones, why it is so significant that we maintain a sense of our history and the landmarks that remind us of our history. Because what comes to mind is one of the first things that this whole Trump era tried to do, in particular in specifically Governor DeSantis in Florida and others, is wipe out black history. So they understand that if they can erase our history, that it has a real impact on our self-esteem, on our self-identity, our self-worth, which is one of the reasons why as we go through this waiting period to move into our new headquarters getting ready, it was so important that we go to the right place because Mother AME Zion, as you just outlined, is a landmark. Our kids need to have a sense of they're sitting in a room that Sojourner Truth was in, and that Frederick Douglass got married in, and Paul Robeson. Because I think part of what made me committed to the movement all my life is that when I was 12 years old, my mother brought me to Bishop Washington because I was a boy preacher, was scared I was getting too political because I was running around trying to run around behind Adam Clayton Powell, the Harlem congressman. And Bishop Washington brought us to Bill Jones, a esteemed, prominent minister, and he was head of Dr. King's organization in New York. So I grew up around, I'm talking about this is preteen years, around the Bill Jones and Adam Clayton Powell and then Jesse Jackson. So it gives you a sense of grounding. And anybody that doesn't have that, they can have them be seduced and attracted to anything.
Yep. And Reverend, I've heard you preach before the importance of not removing the ancient landmarks and how that's of actually a biblical proportion where you set up those stones, and when your children ask you what those stones mean, you can create a classroom right there with your children. It's of vital importance for the black church primarily to be now the standard bearers of ensuring that the present generation, the next generation knows from whence they have come. And it's not, it is entirely by design that governors, the current occupant of the White House, Donald Trump, that they are intentionally seeking to remove the truth from the American narrative. We saw what happened in Philadelphia the other day with taking down mention of slavery and George Washington's first White House in Philadelphia, and how the removal of that was seen, number one, as disrespectful, and number two, is an intentional whitewashing of American history. But it's up to us whether it is promulgated or not. It's really up to us, for those of us who know our history, those who cherish our history, those who have enough self-esteem in ourselves. It's up to us to teach our children from whence they have come. And many of us need reminders from whence we have come. We just didn't get here. We are here as a result of significant sacrifice, significant ingenuity of so many who have come before us. We built black colleges. We built black hospitals. We built black communities. We sent a black man to the White House not once, but twice. And if you know that kind of history, you will not accept the types of things that are going on right now. We fought before, we know how to fight, and we'll fight again. Our history informs us of such.
Let's go back to the phone. Let's go to Jihad, the sage of the South in Atlanta, Georgia. Jihad.
Hey, good afternoon, my brothers. Well said. Well said. Reverend Sharpton, I'm going to start. Yesterday, you had Brother C. Wright on your show. And towards the end of the show, there was a caller, I think, that basically said that Democrats hadn't done anything. Do you remember that conversation, you and C. Wright?
Uh-huh. Yep.
And how C. Wright responded and how you came behind C. Wright and talked about the things that the Democrats are fighting for, so that when people say the Democrats are doing nothing, I think that I can't remember everything C. Wright said, but he said about 5 or 6 things, and you added a few, and then the most important thing you added was the people who complain that the Democrats are doing nothing are Republicans doing what you want them to do, to put it in a nutshell.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Because what happens is, and really, Reverend Sharpton, it's something that has to be addressed. And you know, I call all the time talking about language, because language is very important. Because when we say 7, and this is to my sister, and we love her and we need her very much. We need her voice and her enthusiasm, so we don't want her to be clouded.
Right.
You know what I mean? When you say 7 Democrats voted for, what about the other Democrats that voted against?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that gives you wiggle room not to condemn the whole group. You know what I mean? Because 7 voted for. If the other, I don't know how many of them it was, but if the other majority did not vote for, then that just means that we have to go to work to convince more to come on the side of the majority. That don't mean we accuse the group of not being responsible or not addressing our particular issues. Would that be right, Reverend Al?
No, not only is it right, you raise a good point. Just do the numbers. If you've got 40-something Democrats in the Senate, and 7 went, so you gonna throw the other 35 in front of the bus because of 7? Right. You're giving them more power than they should have.
That's exactly, and also the same goes with language with. I heard you say yesterday that Sister Kamala Harris lost by 1% of the vote.
Right.
So does that mean that if there was 77 million or 80 million black people, that voted for Sister Kamala, that means that there was 80 against Donald Trump?
That's right.
Mm-hmm. So then how then can we lump all white people? You know what I mean? Because there's a 80-something million white people or 70-something million white people that found this guy disgusting also.
Right.
So when we use the language that white people don't come out and white people didn't do this and white people don't do that, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't fit the numbers. It doesn't fit the sense. You know what I mean? There's another last thing I say. A brother said that there's going to be a civil war in America, right? And he phrases it that they're going to be fighting against us. You know what I mean? Now, historically speaking, you know what I mean, the Civil War, to my knowledge now, if we know history like the brother just said, there were many white people fighting against white people with our help. So if the war comes, it's not going to be white on black. It's going to be white and black on white.
Right.
Or white against white and black. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to use the right language and quit painting these broad brushes in our analysis of many of these situations. And the fact that Donald Trump sent in the ugly man to Minneapolis, we can't fall for that because the ugly man was worse than this man. This man just got more TV publicity recently that they just sent out of Minneapolis, but the ugly man is just as bad. You know what I mean? So we can't let our guards down now because they having some kind of sweet talking. We got them on the ropes, and we got to keep them going and going and going for the juggler. Because if we slack up, all they're doing is reorganizing. You know what I mean? And re-strategizing, and they're gonna come at us a little bit harder. So I just want to offer that, Reverend.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your call as always. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Shopton, Malcolm Bird. Be right back. As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned. People marched. Mrs. Coretta Scott King, who never has gotten the credit she deserves in being the force behind this movement. Congressman John Conyers, Stevie Wonder, and others. And Ronald Reagan, who had called Martin Luther King a communist, ended up being the president that had to sign the bill for Martin Luther King's federal holiday. The reason why we know struggle works is this holiday is a result of struggle, signed by a president that never thought it would be. Let us remember now, as we bring our children and grandchildren up to Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But we gather this morning because everything Dr. King stood for is at risk. As we speak, we're waiting to see what the Supreme Court will do with Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, one of the major achievements of the King movement. As we speak this morning, this sitting president has declared war on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is the core of the Civil Rights Act of '64. We are under attack, and we should not be taking this as a day off. This is a day on to fight to keep what was maintained. To see, I remember 6 years ago, Martin III and I were in Minneapolis leading the marches around George Floyd. I did the eulogy at his funeral. 6 years later, we see a white female, unarmed, killed in Minneapolis. We see people being racially profiled. We see that there are those that would want this to be the last federal holiday named after King. Don't you be deceived. This sitting president and his cohorts would want to end Martin Luther King Day. But just like we will not let them end this day, we will not let them end voting rights and Civil Rights Act and DEI. It's not enough to remember and honor the dreamer and let them kill the dream. And that's why National Action Network has every year started in Washington, D.C. with this breakfast, and then we go to New York with our public policy forum. And every year we try to set an agenda and go into April. We always have our national convention in April, which is the month Dr. King was killed, to say that they killed the dreamer, not the dream. And those of us that come out of that movement is going to continue to fight. This April will be our National Action Network is 35 years old in this April at our convention. One of the things, though, we've been most proud of is to try to keep the assignment that we were given. As I said, Mrs. Coretta Scott King never got the credit she was due. She's the matriarch of this movement. You must know that Dr. King was in Boston, had graduated Morehouse College, 19 years old, went to Boston University, an Ivy League school at a time many blacks couldn't get in them. Met a young lady who was in conservatory, was going to be an opera singer from Marion, Alabama, Coretta Scott King. They decided to go back south. A lot of blacks that went north and had their upper movement never wanted to go back south. But for whatever reason, Dr. King wanted to go back south. And Mrs. King stood right with him and went to Alabama and ran into history. It is always those that accept the calling that change history. And we should never forget the sacrifice made of Dr. Martin and Mrs. Coretta Scott King, because they did not have to go and lead a boycott. They were Boston University Conservatory graduates. They chose to fight. And when it fell their lot, they kept fighting. And even after Dr. King was assassinated, she kept the movement going. Martin III bonded me and his mother, and she used to reprimand me. Al, you got to be careful with your language. Al, I know you up north, but do this, that, and other. She got on me about being not only in the tradition in your actions, because we always was there, but even in your rhetoric. And it was because of that it meant so much. For the last 30 years, Martin and I have walked step by step together because we had that bond. And I felt that Mrs. King gave us that. he has kept this dream alive all over the world. He has worked with the offsprings of Mahatma Gandhi to keep this tradition going. But I thought I knew a lot about how God operates because I've been preaching since I was a little boy. So I thought I'd never see another person in the spirit of Coretta Scott King. But Andrea Waters King walks and talks and operates in the spirit of Mrs. Because sometimes I turn around and think Mrs. King is back. She is more adamant. When Martin and I are saying, well, I don't know about this, she gets us on the Zoom and zooms us up. Say, no, y'all got to do this and this way. So I want to bring, before we start the awards, to the stage, the heirs of Dr. Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King, Andrea Waters King and Martin Luther King III.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
It's Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor in the building. Here at the National Action Network, it's about thanks. It's about giving. It's about gratitude. It's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude, it starts with giving, it starts with peace, it starts with love.
Keep it real. Keep it real. I'm your
host. We gotta
host.
make sure that we feed the community.
Reverend Al Sharpton,
we
and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Reverend Malcolm, I said Michael. Reverend Malcolm Bird is our guest in studio or in the office. I turned the office into a studio. Let's go to RT in St. Louis, Missouri. RT.
Yes, sir. Thanks for taking my call, Reverend Sharpton. I told your producer that I would like to talk about immigration, so I'll just get this off my chest. 99.99% of crimes that are committed in this country, Reverend Sharpton, are not committed by undocumented immigrants. They're committed by U.S. citizens who were born in this country. That's a fact.
Right.
99%. Yeah, 99.99% of people who are illegal in this country are not illegal because they swam across the Rio Grande River. They're illegal because their visas have expired, and that's not only people from south of the border, that's people from Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. And lastly, I'll say this: all these cities, Reverend Sharpton, they have a system in place to deal with people whose visas have expired. So why does Trump have 3,000 ICE agents in a democratically controlled city? It's all politics. You know what I'm saying? And so these Republicans who are in Minnesota, they should question him about this. Like I said, if 99.99% of the people who commit crimes in this country are Americans, why do you need 3,000 ICE agents in a city to deal with people who are not committing the most crimes and for people who only crime is that their visas have expired.
Very good point. Very good point. The numbers don't, the math don't math.
It's not mathing. And I'd also say,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your call. Go ahead, Reverend.
I'd also say to that, my brother, and thank you for sharing that. Look at what happened in Minneapolis the other day. Over 50,000 people in sub-zero weather, all outside. Every Republican lawmaker in the state of Minnesota ought to be very, very careful about upcoming elections in your state, because a Donald Trump machine likes to do things such as send 3,000 ICE troops into a state when he can just walk off and leave you and your constituents to fend for yourself. For every Republican lawmaker in Minnesota, hear me and hear me good, Donald Trump is about to leave you high and dry, and you are about to see at the polls what the real constituents on the ground in Minnesota means when they say for us, by us.
All right, let's go to Sharon in New York. Sharon, you're keeping it real with Shopton and Bird.
Yes. Good afternoon, Reverend. And I thank you, my Lord and Savior, because I am very highly concerned. I saw a video with Rashard Ritchie, Dr. Ritchie, and it's stating that the CDC is, I don't know where they got the approval from, but it says that only black babies are going to be inoculated with the hepatitis B virus. And the parents are not going to know.
Wait. Who said this?
Dr. Rashard Ritchie, TYT.
And who is he?
Dr. Rashard, he's an activist, a black activist on
Yeah, I've not seen that. What is the basis of him? Where did he get this information from?
He had the video still on.
All right, well, I'd have to review the video. I'm not saying he's right or wrong. I just need to understand what he's saying. I don't want to comment on something that I am not aware of what he's saying. But thank you for your call. We'll check out the information. I'm not that clear. One of the things I don't do is I don't agree or attack something I don't know. And I've not heard this, and I don't want to parrot information or get into a conflict with something that I'm not aware of. I think, Reverend, one of the things that is very clear to me is that the midterm elections are critical now more than ever. I see on our message page is that Saint 6744 says blue wave is coming, and I hope so. And I think that it is absolutely necessary. Mike Met is saying, let me tell you, Reverend, it's mandatory that we flip the House and the Senate. This is the only way we can check the madness. If we don't handle these midterms accordingly, it's a wrap. I think that's the point. And I think that Jihad was saying, we can talk all we want and sell wolf tickets and get distracted. If when the clouds clear and the sky's blue and they still have control of the Senate and the House and the White House, they will do what they want to do legally. And let us quit playing with ourselves.
Right.
Now, we can do everything else we want to do, but we must make as priority to get them out of power.
Absolutely.
Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Shopton, Bird, be right back.
Good morning, everybody. Governor Westmore. And as a former honoree of the National Action Network's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Breakfast, I want to begin by recognizing the leadership of this great organization. My guy, Reverend Sharpton, you're one of a kind. You've dedicated your life to safeguarding and advancing Dr. King's legacy, and I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine. I also want to thank Ebony Riley and her team, and Andrea Waters King, and the entire King family. Your work continues to shape national conversations about equity and justice, and you inspire so many to pursue their own path in public service. And finally, I am thrilled to congratulate today's Visionary Award recipient, my guy, Mayor Brandon Scott. Mr. Mayor, you deserve this honor. Your leadership is turning your vision for Baltimore into a Baltimore where we can all thrive, helping to drive down historic lows in crime. A Baltimore that has one of the fastest growing economies in the country. You've been an incredible partner in this work, my man. A strong leader for the city, and most importantly, a devoted friend and father. So congratulations, Brandon. And thank you to everyone here who is working to strengthen our communities, to broaden opportunities, and most importantly, to serve the people.
Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special, special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president. But we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're going to have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm going to keep marching. I'm going to keep agitating. And I'm going to keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time, Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. Just break. I believe that.
Good morning, everybody. I hope the coffee has kicked in by now. I want to start by thanking your leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton, and everyone at the National Action Network for 35 years of standing up for civil rights and opportunity for everyone.
And I couldn't be more grateful for the way that you have blessed the lives of so many, including mine.
As we look today on King Day, let us not forget that we had to struggle to even have this day. They did not wake up one morning and say, let's give a federal holiday to Martin Luther King. People petitioned, people marched. Let us remember now as we bring our children and grandchildren up the Potomac, that they can see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, and one memorial that never served as president, but changed this country more than any other American, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
This was an amazing MLK breakfast.
It is truly an honor, and more importantly, this is an important day for us.
I feel incredibly
incredibly lucky and honored to be in this room on this day, celebrating Dr. King's legacy of civil rights, especially in the moment that we're facing on a national level. It feels like warmth and home being in this room.
So I'm encouraged by today. I'm encouraged that we're getting out, we're protesting, but more needs to be done. We need to lean in.
And let's keep fighting because the job is not done here. And I just feel so honored to get this award. It's not about getting an award, it's about doing the work. And let's keep up with the work.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, "The two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born." I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you're very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
Racial discord, a blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I had to learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing.
Reverend Al Sharpton
and I
Reverend
like
Malcolm Bird is our co-host.
So
Reverend Bird, give our audience a sense of, you gave a sense of the church that we're going to, not this Saturday, but next Saturday for the Black History Month. Give a sense of the history of the mother of AME Zion Church as a denomination.
It'll be my pleasure. The AME Zion denomination was established in 1796 from Mother Zion. That's how we got our name as the Mother Church for the denomination. And our first 7 or 8 churches were between Philadelphia and New Haven, Connecticut, and Long Island. And whoever would have thought that a historic black church that's now located in Harlem literally gave birth to 6,000 AME Zion churches around the world. We're on every continent except for Antarctica and Australia. And for well over 200 years, we're known as the Freedom Church, where our churches were literally used as Underground Railroad stops masquerading as churches.
Now, you say you were founded in
1796.
All right, so 1796. The Emancipation Proclamation was 1863, so you're 30-some odd years later, around the time of Plessy versus Ferguson.
Yeah, yep, indeed. So you're talking about before any of that, before any of those great court cases that helped get us access and even things that brought us back as Plessy versus Ferguson, you had black denominations leading the way, leading the fight, leading the efforts. Our first schools were in our churches, all around the country. If you study the history of Black America, removing the black church removes the initial platform that we had to build our sustainable communities all over this country. So right now, the AME Zion Church is a denomination of about 1.3 million people. And its tentacles are far-reaching. We operate Livingstone College in North Carolina, of which I'm a graduate, founded in 1879, born out of the black church. And in every sense of the word, if ever the black church was needed in 1796, we're most certainly needed in 2026, because you could talk all day about the Underground Railroad of 1840, But we might need a new Underground Railroad now. When you have ICE officials roaming as modern-day slave catchers, if ever there was a time for the black church to get back to its Underground Railroad history and heritage and activism, it's right now.
All right, and I totally agree with that. It is, let me go to Evangelist Ramsey saying on the message board, good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton and Nan family. How are you all holding up after the storm in New York? I am good. Fell yesterday a couple of times right on top of snow, trying to shovel fresh snow by my home off the truck, but I am good, praise God. Bounce right back. Well, she's a very, very, very active and effective activist. We sure don't want nothing to happen to her. The history, whether or not we are Baptist, AME Zion, Pentecostal, whether we're Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, the history of our people clearly is that we started in the black church. And I often say in speeches and sermons that if you look at the history, January 1st, 1863, it had nothing to do with whether people listening around the country or in other parts of the world are religious or not. I'm just talking historic fact that January 1st, 1863, Emancipation Proclamation went into effect. Our forefathers and mothers could then walk off the plantation. What I think a lot of people don't account for, and some don't want to, I'm not talking about blacks, I'm talking about whites and historians in particular, is that if you've been in slavery 246 years, no wages, never could be paid, against the law for you to read and write, and they would hurt a white, lock them up, or maybe lynch them if they caught you teaching them that. So you're illiterate, you're broke, and your family's been sold to different states. You have no ability to do anything other than to congregate, to come together and decide what we are going to do, what can we bond, how do we rebuild. You got no money. You have no education. And you just, boom, you're off the plantation. So the black church was a foundation by necessity, not even conversion, by necessity. And that's why our black fraternities, our black businesses, our black politics, because they elected some blacks during Reconstruction to Congress and the Senate, all started in the black church because that's all we had was the ability to congregate.
That's right. And you know, Rev, it's so significant for you to lift that. That illiterate plantation preacher was also liberated on January 1st, 1863. But the services kept going. And somewhere under some brush arbor, out in the wild, out in the woods, holding religious service, we got into our conversation on cooperative economics, which is a West African tradition, a West African custom that followed us through the Middle Passage all the way here to these shores. So what I don't like when I hear people minimizing the influence of the black church over the building of our people where we are, because even when we had nothing, as you just said, Rev, we had the ability to gather, and our gatherings weren't just for form and fashion. Our gatherings were always meaningful to build community. If you have a piece of bread, we have a piece of bread. We have always historically had an understanding of community, and it was the black church that has kept that consistent through presidents, through regimes, through Jim and Jane Crow, through Donald Trump. It has been the black church that has kept the black church connected. And I've heard you say on a number of occasions, Rev, the most black time in America is on Sunday morning at between 10 or 11, When all of these black congregations around the country gather on Sunday morning, that's the most liberating and free time for black people, not only to receive positivity, but to also receive our marching orders to know what to address, how to address it in our community.
And it's also the reason why a lot of our liberation struggles started and was grounded in the black church, and in many cases still is, because it was the institution we financed.
That's right.
And that they could not tell us what we couldn't do because they weren't paying the bills. We'd put in our little bit of money as we got meager jobs, and we owned our church.
That's right.
So downtown couldn't tell us what to do. That's why some of our black church people today have become compromised, because a lot of them are funded. One of the things that I've determined to do when we started National Action Network was I never to this day have taken city, state, or federal funds. And I'll let corporations come and pay to be advertising at our conventions and all of that. But if they don't want, they don't agree with what I'm going to say or do, they don't have to come. They have no power to monitor and cut us off. And that's the tradition of the black church. But if you take federal, state, city money, they can tell you have to follow these guidelines or you in violation of the funding and could be prosecuted that you defrauded them. Black church was the one free spot we had. They couldn't do that.
That's right. There was a free spot where they couldn't do that. But also, Reverend, the black church was also the place where black women and black men were empowered when they weren't empowered anywhere else. That elevator operator in that segregated skyscraper building in Memphis, Tennessee, who was largely ignored, probably called racial expletives throughout the week. But on Sunday morning, he was the chairman of the deacon board. It gave us a sense of pride, a sense of dignity to be in a place that was controlled by us and for us. And you're eminently correct. The freest person in America is a black preacher at a black church that doesn't owe the systems it's fighting a penny.
Right, exactly right. And I think that there have been those theologians like James Cohen and others that talked about black theology. And I think that a lot of what we have seen in some areas, not all, of the modern black church men and women is to get away from liberation theology. And in my judgment, if you get away from liberation theology, you're getting away from the theology of the Bible, because the Bible is all about liberation.
Absolutely.
And the opening of the Bible, the second book is the Exodus of the Israelites, is an anti-slave movement.
Yep.
So I think that the cowards that have gone in the pulpit has given the black church a bad name. And it's not the black church, it is the cowards.
Absolutely.
And I think that if you're afraid, you should not get in the pulpit or on the platform or whatever. If you're scared, I often said this. If you're scared, say you're scared. Don't act like you got a new strategy. You ain't no new strategy. You're scared. And just sit down, shut up, and let somebody that's not scared step to the forefront and say what need to be said.
Right.
But they try to act like, well, I have a new way of doing it. Ain't no new way of tomming. It's the same way you used to tom. Tomming is tomming is tomming. We got it. Go ahead, do what you got to do, but don't get in the way of those of us that are not afraid.
Right. And also, I would also like to say,
I'm out of time.
All right.
Let me thank you, Reverend Dr. Bird, and we're looking forward to being Mother Amy Zion starting the first Saturday in February throughout Black History Month, every Saturday. Let me get ready to go. Let me thank all of you that called in, listened in, you that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. Talk to you tomorrow.